Tanya, follow me. You're following me, right, Tanya? Okay. Just this is how you get someone else's presentation. Just grab it. Let's go. Let's come. I'll show you. Okay, so Tanya, this is what I got. Just don't. Okay. You didn't hear anything. It says Parkinson is a chronic progressive neurodegenerative disorder affecting the dopamine producing neurons in the brain. Tanya, you're still with me, right? So I just want to show you more about the brain, right? This is Parkinson's disease, right? So if you look at the very center, that's the basal ganglia, right? Wow, your hands are shaky. I hope you don't have early symptoms of Parkinson's disease. But basically the red part is the basal ganglia. That blue part is the thalamus. And that orange part that you see right there, that's the substantia nigra. So what happens is if I follow this line up to the substantia nigra, the destruction of the substantia nigra leads to neurotransmitter dopamine destruction. Because dopamine is a neurotransmitter, it's also an inhibitory neurotransmitter. So as the disease advances, there is substantial degeneration of surviving dopaminergic terminals. So what's happening is the dopamine deficit occurs in a cerebrum called the substantia nigra containing the basal ganglia. So we need basically medication such as levodopa, which is the cornerstone of therapy for Parkinson's disease. Levodopa is the biological precursor of dopamine. Not only that, levodopa works hand in hand with carbidopa, right? Basically, levodopa, carbidopa provides exogenous sources of dopamine that replaces dopamine in the substantia nigra. Don't mind my spelling right there. I'll just show you something real quick. So this is levodopa, right? The mechanism of action and drug effect of dopamine replacement drug. You have to take levodopa orally, right? PO means orally. Levodopa is the biological precursor of dopamine and can penetrate the CNS. So what that means is basically dopamine by itself can't penetrate the blood-brain barrier. But levodopa is actually the precursor of dopamine, so it can penetrate the CNS. Levodopa is given in combination with carbidopa. Tanya, so there's 3 adverse effects of Parkinson's, of taking levodopa. It's confusion, I got my notes right here. Confusion, involuntary movement, and GI distress. I gotta go. If you're diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, if you're diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, what happens is your life will change completely. It's such a big life change. So what's important as nurses is we need to do assessments, right? We need to check their vital signs. We need to do like a QPA assessment, right? QPA just means airway, breathing, circulation. In our case, we do QPAs, but you want to diagnose those kind of things as nursing interventions because there's a lot of signs and symptoms, right? Like pill rolling. Here, you know what? Next slide, I'll post the next video. You'll see what kind of symptoms there are. Anyways, let me enjoy my tea. Yes, so Tanya, the signs and symptoms for Parkinson's are anesthesia, I don't know how to say it, tremors, pill rolling, and twisting motions. So for Parkinson, another nursing consideration is you need to get a thorough history of the patient's profile or the client's profile. You also want to get the full physical assessment of the patient. Okay, so just to summarize Parkinson's disease, remember, it's a chronic progressive neurodegenerative disorder affecting the dopamine producing neurons in the brain. So what happens is there's destruction in the substantia nigra, which leads to dopamine destruction. So what happens is when we have dopamine destruction, there's an off balance of acetylcholine and dopamine. Acetylcholine goes up, dopamine goes down. And then as the disease advances, there's substantia degeneration of the surviving dopaminergic terminals. So that's when we need levodopa, which comes in its precursor, biological precursor of dopamine, which can penetrate the blood-brain barrier. Because dopamine can't penetrate the blood-brain barrier, levodopa can, and it's 90 minutes, it has a half-life of 90 minutes, and it has there's an unpredictable absorption of the medication, but it allows the body, allows the brain to have dopamine, and it balances it back to the normal scale of dopamine. But levodopa can't work on its own. It needs carbidopa. So levodopa, carbidopa works together, and bam, that's Parkinson's disease. So Tanya, this is the end of the program. This is Parkinson's disease. Let's go! I'm gonna ask you a question for the class. So what does levodopa, carbidopa, due to the substantia nigra part of the brain? You know, there's the basal ganglia. In the basal ganglia, there's the substantia nigra. So what does levodopa, carbidopa do to that part of the brain? So I'll let you guys answer that. Where's my coffee? Yeah. You guys answer the class answer this question while I just stand here awkwardly. Okay, I think that's enough time.